Hey everyone, and welcome. It's Melissa with Build a Better Bakery. So excited for you to be here today for an important topic. We're going to be talking about how to save you time and make you more income with a little bit of a special strategy that you can use. This might be a strategy that you've heard of before. This might be something you've kind of dabbled in but haven't really committed to. It might be a strategy you have never tried. So I want to talk about order minimums today with you. Now let me double check we are set up and I can see your comments. Hey everyone, and welcome. Perfect. Melissa with Build a Better Bakery. That's me. Hearing myself on my own phone. Okay. I just set this up so I can see any comments coming through. Hey Bev, good to see you. How are you doing? I feel like it's been a little while. Hope you're doing okay today. I'm sure a lot of us are very kind of bogged down with Easter products, if you make Easter products or any kind of, seasonal products for this week or next week. So I'm not going to take up a ton of your time today, but I like to be in here every week with you. And I like to hit on some efficient information that can just kind of open your eyes to different opportunities that you might have as you're starting and growing your business. And as I mentioned today, we're going to be talking about order minimums. So Bev is here live. She's already commented, which is great. You can always do a hashtag live if you're live. If you catch this on the replay, you can always do your hashtag replay so that I know that you have seen the content. Now, what I want to do is start with a little bit of a backstory, just to kind of fill you in on where I was before order minimums and where I am now, just to give you an idea of what kind of changes you might see. When I first started baking for money back in the day, years and years ago, I was all over the place. I can see just by following some of you online, that's kind of where you're at. Some of you are super focused, some of you aren't. I'm not saying either one is better. Everyone has their own journey. At the beginning, that's kind of what I was doing. I was just sort of baking anything people asked for, even things I've never made before. I really had no idea how long it was going to take me to do these things. So my pricing was ending up being kind of rock bottom because the things that I didn't know how to make, I was being asked to make, and it would take me longer because I didn't really know. I would have to learn how to do it in the process of actually doing it. So from my business perspective now, and just as a seasoned baker now, I really wasn't being business minded. It's not a bad thing. Everyone has their own journey, but if you're interested in creating a lifestyle and an income around your baking skills, and you want that to be a primary focus of why you're doing what you're doing, maybe you have bigger goals, maybe you have, you're going to need income to hit those goals. That's kind of the point of today's topic with the order minimums, to kind of get you there. That's why we're talking about it today. So if you're not fully business minded right now, that's okay. If you are here live or on replay, I want you to let me know in the comments, which one do you think you are? Just a quick little, no judgment. Do you feel like you're kind of hobby mode, or do you feel like you're kind of business mode? Go ahead and put that in the comments so we can kind of see where everyone's sitting, or at least those that are watching this video, where you're sitting. Now, when I think back to what I was doing at the beginning, and this is just a very honest moment, I think I really just wanted the attention. I wanted people to want my services. I wanted people to speak to me. I just wanted the attention. It was validating to have people excited to want to work with me, baking for an income, even if possibly I was kind of paying to do it, more of a hobby style. It just felt good, right? I wanted interest. So that's why I was kind of taking whatever was coming my way. And as I mentioned, there's nothing wrong with that. It's really more of kind of the hobby version of baking. And if making an income is not like a super big priority for you right now, you just want to have the experience, that might be the way you kind of want to do it. But don't expect at the end of the year, if you're doing taxes or something similar, don't expect to have really any money sitting there for your time. You're mostly going to be paying for your hobby, which we know the baking's kind of expensive. Our costs are higher than a lot of other types of handmade products because we're using food. So that might be, if you at least want to break even, there's going to have to be some kind of boundary set up. So what it meant for my business, kind of want to paint a picture. When I was doing this, what it meant for my business is that most of my time was being taken up by random small orders, right? This person who lives down this street says, hey, can you bake me a pan of brownies? This person who lives across town, hey, can you bake me 6 cookies for my kid's birthday party? with this specific design. This other person's, hey, can you make me a dozen cupcakes for my church event? Right? They're just kind of small and they're kind of random and they're not really following any kind of rhyme or reason. That makes it harder for me to shop. It makes it harder for me to plan my day. A lot of times those orders also come hand in hand with being last minute orders, especially the small ones, because that usually means they're not for bigger events that people are planning. They're more for like, oh gosh, I have a party coming up next weekend, or oh, I've got a thing happening tomorrow. Can you make something, etc. So there's just a lot of stress involved in that, trying to do last minute things and kind of random things. And what happened was, one, I really wasn't making an income due to the time, doing all the random stuff, and then the pricing issues not being solid pricing, because I was making things I wasn't really used to. And it also meant, unfortunately, that I was working with clients that wanted my services, which felt good, but I wasn't attracting my ideal client. So I'm serving people, but these people aren't necessarily the ones that are going to be those, loyal raving fans. They aren't the ones that are going to help me through word of mouth. Sometimes they do, but sometimes the vibe of what they're saying isn't necessarily what you want, which isn't the topic of today's video, but all word of mouth isn't equal. We'll put it that way. Sometimes when you are attracting the wrong type of client, they will word of mouth suggest you, but they're suggesting you in the ways that you don't want to be suggested. And they are helping attract the people that you don't necessarily want to be attracting. So sometimes that can kind of backfire on itself. So again, I really wasn't attracting the ideal client, and I was just attracting the same. So people wanting small stuff, last minute, off the wall items, kind of fun if you're just getting into baking, but if you need it to be income producing for your time, then we need to kind of look at businessifying it just a little bit more. Let me double check here. Bev says, it's been a long time and life is coming at me fast. So good to be here with you. Yeah, me too. Things have been a little weird, but we're here together, so that's important. Christine is here. Hi, how are you? Denise is here. Business 100%. Okay, good. Denise says business. Bev says biz mode. Okay, perfect. So hopefully you guys can kind of tell me where you're at then when we start talking about these, this whole order minimum idea. I will say that as I bake for more and more people, so I'm kind of all over the place. As I'm baking for more and more people, I started being asked to take on more ideal projects. They were coming my way because I was getting some attention, even if it wasn't all ideal clients. I was getting the attention that was going to lead to more income producing projects. But the thing was, I didn't have the time to talk to them and to actually start setting up these partnerships or these discussions, because all these small orders were in my way. And I felt weirdly obligated to continue to serve at that level because that's kind of what I'd been doing, which is sort of a boundary setting issue. It's something we talk about a lot in the elites. It's really important. Not everyone's like super good at boundaries, but as a business person, right, that's kind of part of what we have to do. So all these small orders were in my way and I just kept taking them because that's what I did, right? That's kind of the road I was on. And you may be experiencing this as well, or kind of know what I'm talking about. And as a younger person in the industry, trying to do my own thing, I also didn't really know how to set the healthy boundaries, how to say it with poise, how to make sure I didn't hurt anyone's feelings, so that I could kind of get away from those specific types of orders I was taking, small, last minute, random, and to work more on the better, bigger projects that were finally coming my way because I had kind of grown some confidence to start searching those out. So much of my time was being wasted income-wise because I was spinning my wheels, trying to get out of the hobby mode and into the business mode, but not able to kind of like jump that river. So something had to up level. That's for sure. I didn't have a mentor at this time, so this was kind of just something that I chose to do out of necessity. And I don't know if y'all have yet or what you're planning on, but for me, when I chose the reason I chose to start order minimums years and years ago was because a large change in my life happened. I had my first baby, and long story short, I'm working on a wedding cake. My essentially newborn, 3 months old, I guess. I started taking cakes again at like around 3 months. She was laying in her little bassinet, looking up at me, crying like unable to stand it as I'm working on someone's probably the most important cake of their entire life for their wedding. I'm stressed out. I can barely deal with it. I can't help her. I have to finish this. You know, my husband's military, he was gone. So I was just in a situation where I was thinking, look, if I'm going to do this, it has to be worth it. I cannot do these. I mean, the wedding cake specifically, that example, that was big enough, not a big deal. But I just knew that it had to be worth it. Maybe I could hire someone to help me or ask a friend to come over, but it had to be worth it to like get my life together to take the order essentially. So in walks the order minimum, right? I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? Like little angels singing in the background. It's like, okay, this is my idea. This is what I'm going to do. And I realized that the trick to this is not telling people, I mean, essentially you're telling certain people no, but what you're doing is you're helping them self-select to decide if they want to work with you or not without having to go through the like weird consultation phase, coming up with a quote that's too high, right? You give them kind of like a starting point and it helps them self-select so that your schedule stays more open. And then you'll be ready to accept those big orders because you have the time to do it instead of accepting all the little ones. And then the big one comes and you can't do it because you're taking a $10 order, a $20 order, a $30 order, when that $200 or $300 order you could have taken if all of those hadn't been in there, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like you're sifting it out. Now, the funny thing is, when I did this, it ended up doing the opposite of what I actually wanted, which was I wanted less people to contact me because I was busy with the baby and I wanted to work, but I didn't want to do a ton. So I was actually trying to get people to leave me alone, but it did the opposite. And then again, as a more seasoned person, I'm understanding what happened. And for me, I decided to place $100 order minimum at the time. I was like, if you're not going to spend $100, I'm not turning my oven on. Like, that's what's going to cost. And when I did that, I started getting more inquiries than ever. So as a seasoned person, I realized when I set the $100 minimum, what I was actually doing is I was positioning myself more securely and I was directly speaking to my ideal client. I was helping others self-select that either they aren't my client or this specific order is not for me, but they can contact me at a later date for a larger order. And I started getting more inquiries and pretty much everyone was qualified. Like they were all over $100 because that was the first thing I was saying. And then they were all like, yeah, I saw that on your website. Let's do it. So unfortunately, I had to start saying, doing a lot of the no, I can't, or referring to other people I trusted in the area because I was getting way more than I expected. So I just want to put that out there. If you haven't done this yet and you want to try it, be aware that it might position you even better to where you'll actually get more qualified inquiries. So just be ready for that. Have some referrals ready. Look at your calendar a little bit ahead of time just to kind of be ready for that if it happens. Okay. So the other nice thing about the $100 minimum, I got kicked out of this thing. The other nice thing about the $100 minimum is that, like I said, it can be self-selecting. So I'll mention at the end where you can put it to help people see it, but you want that to be honestly one of the first things, or it doesn't have to be $100 minimum, but your minimum order should be one of the first things you discuss because you can cut down on a lot of client consultation time if people know that that is going to be something that they can self-select. Okay. I'm having a little issue with the video here. So hopefully y'all can see me. I can redo this video. If for some reason you can't, let me know. Just put your comments in. If I don't see them, I'll answer them at the end. Okay. All right. So for you, what do you think an order minimum would look like for you? Do you already have one or are you considering one? Go ahead and put in the comments kind of what stage you're at. My two favorite kinds are either by price or by amount. I think your specific vibe and the way that you produce product is going to determine, how you want to go about it. Personally, I use price because I have a fairly standard menu and tend to attract clients that understand my values and offers pretty well already. I live in a super small community. Most people know who I am. If they don't know who I am, they've heard about me from someone else specifically. So they've been kind of, brought up to speed about what I do, where I'm positioned in the community. So I don't have to do a lot of like convincing. People are kind of contacting me ready to go. And like I mentioned, I started with a $100 minimum. Now I have a $200 minimum. I know that may be a little high for some people. Kind of depends on where you live and what you do. My positioning is more of like large event, creative products. So, hand piped images on cakes, tiered cakes, specialty design cookies, fairly custom items. But I will say, even if I'm going to make like a brunch table or something else that I have available, I still have that minimum in place. People just have to kind of decide what they want their order to look like within that $200. Once it reaches 200, I can accept the order, or they can order whatever they want. It just starts at 200. And then I quote higher, of course, if the order is more than that. So I still have to work up quotes. I still have to do that, but it lets people know what's the starting point. After everything is said and done, like I said, I live in a really small place, so there aren't huge events here. Most of the orders that I'm taking round about 200 to 300 each, right? So each person I'm dealing with, I'm bringing in about 200 to 300 of income. There are outliers, but for the most part, sometimes it's 600, 700, 800, just depending on what they need. If I'm working with like a corporate or someone larger who needs lots of items. And I've said this to a couple of my elite bakers, and they're kind of taken aback, like, oh gosh, well, I couldn't do that, or I wouldn't get any business. And I just want to say a little mantra here. If you've never tried it, you don't know. So if you've never had an order minimum before, you literally do not know if people will still order or not. Like I said, I did it originally to try to get people to stay away from me, but more came out of the woodwork because I was speaking their language and they understood the value, and they're thinking, oh, well, if she only takes above 100, then she's serious and the work must be good. And, all this stuff starts changing in their mind about your offers. So if you've never tried it, don't knock it. Yet I will say that I receive more business than I can handle. I have multiple inquiries, usually multiple a day. The first thing I say is that I have a $200 minimum. About 40% say, oh, no, thank you. And about 60% say, yes, let's continue to talk. Then we talk about dates and everything else like that. So for me, even in this, it's a 6 mile wide community that I live in, I'm still doing okay. So I think that if you live even in a larger community, you might see that it actually does work for you, depending on what you're making. Now, I know many others will sell smaller items, who sell smaller items normally, or bulk items that are not necessarily like all this work in customizing. You might want to go with amount. Just depends on how you feel about it. I think the dollar amount is kind of easier to deal with because you're always, every time you turn your oven on, you're always getting a certain amount of dollars to do it. If you have like a minimum of, let's say, 2 dozen scones and 2 dozen muffins, the pricing on that might be different, and that might not really be enough to make it worth it. So again, if you're already baking every day, that might be fine. If you're not baking every day and you want to make sure that your time is paid for outright by just that one order, the dollar minimum might be better. My suggestion is just to look at your time and costs, kind of see what your vibe is, figure out what the breaking point is. How much money would someone have to pay to get your oven turned on if it was the only thing you had to do that day, right? If you could have the day off or take this order, how much money does it have to be? Okay. And then everything's gravy on top of that. So if you're having like 2 or 3 orders stacked, perfect. Then you're making even more income. Your time is really being taken advantage of, or not being taken advantage of. You're really doing some income generation with your hours during that day, and it'll just snowball from there. Okay. Let me look at these comments real quick. Like I said, I had a weird thing happen with my video, so I'm assuming y'all can still see me. Bev says, I'd like to set a $100 baked good minimum. I have a website with smaller dollar items. I also make non-food items, custom cutters, stencils, etc. How do I set it? Okay. Bev, I don't know what kind of website you have. On my website, which is through Squarespace, there's actually in the setting area, I think it's under commerce, there's actually a section that says set a minimum. So my website will internally set a dollar minimum. So if their cart doesn't reach the minimum, then they can't check out. So maybe check your website and see if you can do it that way. So it says, I do have a number minimum. I'm a custom shop, so minimums amount certainly self-select some. Most want to treat me like a retail bakery. Yeah, retail bake, it's very common, and it's kind of, I feel like it's rude. Maybe they just don't understand how it works, which is probably what it is. But yeah, the retail bakery thing, like I still have people saying, hey, can I get one thing? And I'm thinking, wow, you know, like, really? Do you think I'm just gonna get everything out to make one cookie? It's crazy. They come and pick up only a few items. Yeah. So I will say, as a side note, I still offer pre-sales. I still go to vendor events. I think those things are really important. It keeps things fresh. It does allow people who aren't ready to spend $200 to taste my product, to get their hands on something. But I only do those things if I can bake in bulk on my time schedule, and it's very controlled. So I'm not saying that you can't sell individual items like you're talking about, but maybe situate them into pre-sales, pop-ups, events, things where people can come and enjoy, but it's not a custom, I'm taking your order and producing it for you, I'm producing it for the group, and then you're going to pick up on these certain days, etc. I also technically have a subscription. It's one of my lower cost products. I have a corporate order attached to it, so I make it every week anyway. And then I've attached a subscription for the same product for individuals that get it either every week or every month. So the nice thing about that is I'm producing that product, which is very simple and very profitable, one time a week. And that's another opportunity for someone to get something from me that's lower dollar, that again, I'm producing in bulk, and I can create a lot of income on that one day with that one product. And there's really no customization included. It's something that can be shipped as well. And it's just a nice kind of weekly offer that's family friendly, group friendly, allergen friendly, all that kind of stuff. And it's just an easy one. So maybe consider possibly something like that too, that, you know, kind of retail bakery, but it's on your schedule and it's easier for you to produce. Denise says, how do you start to advertise minimum dollar offers and then pull it back if it doesn't work out for me? At the end, Denise, I'm going to give you a couple ideas. Steph says, cool, I have Square, I'll check out. Yeah, I honestly don't know about Square, but hopefully they have something like that. It's kind of seems like a simple, you know, trigger in a website. So hopefully, or if you don't see it, maybe email them and see if they can do some code or something for you. Does Squarespace have subscription button? Is there a fee to use to have Square services? So Squarespace, Denise, Squarespace and Square are two different things. Squarespace is a website platform that does offer subscription services. Square is a payment platform only. It's like e-commerce. You can create a website, like Bev has her website on Square. So it can be confusing, but they are two different services. So you can kind of look up, I think it's squareup.com is the payment platform with the less robust website offer. And then squarespace.com is the more intricate website platform where you can do blogging, lots of things. And now I know Square, I think, has also added subscriptions. So they're kind of competitive. Squarespace is it's a little easier to build out the website. So it kind of depends on what you need it for. My understanding is the Square website is more like Shopify. You know, you go in, there might be a little bit of information, but it's mostly just the products, or Squarespace is all the pages and multiple things going on. So it kind of just depends on what you like. A fee to use Square services. So Square, if you're using the one that is the payment e-commerce based one, they take percentages of transactions. That's going to be, I don't know what the correct numbers are right now. It's very comparable to PayPal and Stripe and all the other big e-commerce options. So is there a fee? basically when you use it, I don't know if they charge you for the website or not. Bev might have some more information for you since she's here. The Squarespace website platform, yes, there is a fee. Yes, you can do monthly or annual, and it costs more to have a subscription service on Squarespace. I believe it does. I think they do charge you maybe to use that on Square as well. So something to check on. Bev says, Hurt, I'll be doing a farmer's market soon. So I think that's where the money maker will be for the smaller, less quantity. Yeah, exactly. So if you can like get everyone away from you as far as like trying to custom get you to do tiny stuff, it's your menu, it's what you want to do, it's on your time schedule. You just have to show up with the product. That's going to save you a lot of time. And then hopefully people will arrive. They can pick and choose what's going on. I actually, again, not the topic of today's video, but whenever I do vendor events, I like to offer special bundle deals. It's something fun. It makes things kind of simple. So individually, the products are priced fairly, I would consider fairly high for my area, but they are high end, they are gourmet. So kind of depends on what you want to spend your money on, I guess. Again, I'm positioning for the higher end clients. And then I offer a bundle deal where if you buy 5 of them or 6 of them, it's basically like you get one free. So it would essentially bring each of them down like $1 or something like that to buy the bundle of 5 or 6. People love that. I would say like 70% of the people who come to my table are using the bundle option, but I only offer it at events. And then additionally, I have a VIP group that's on Facebook where we do challenges. That's where I do my flash sales. That's where I talk about what I do kind of in a more personalized way with the people who are VIP, the people who want to be inside. It's free. They get a special discount on the website. And the other thing I do is I make a little something special that's not for sale at the event, but something nice and yummy. And I put it in a little 3-ounce container. And I have those there for free for just VIP people. So I'll get like between 25 and 50 new VIP members at every vendor event too, because they want the little free, like I did puppy chow, I did banana bread, I did Rice Krispie treat, things that are fairly inexpensive to make, but they just like getting a free thing, right? It's like they feel like a VIP. So they come up to the table and they get their little free item in their bag, or if they don't want to buy anything, they still get one. So that's kind of a part of how I do vendor events that seems to be pretty successful here. Denise says, thanks. One of those works with my Weebly. I'll have to see which it is. Okay, so Squarespace is a website platform. Square is the e-commerce. So Square is going to be the thing that would be probably combining with Weebly. You can also use Stripe or PayPal. Those are usually the 3 big ones. So you can check those out. You're welcome, Denise. Okay. All right. So if you currently don't have a minimum, I highly suggest starting somewhere, even if you're like nervous about it, even if you are, I don't know, starting somewhere I think is super important if you want to be business minded, even if it's on the lower end, like $50, or maybe you don't have any minimums, but you're just going to say, I'm just going to do a dozen. Has to be a dozen cookies, has to be a dozen brownies, has to be XYZ. Start small and work up. So make that a little mental note, just start somewhere. You can post, Denise was wondering how to tell people. You can post this information lots of places. I put it right on my menu. I straight up say, custom orders begin at $200. It says it right at the bottom. You can put it on your website if you have a custom order website, or a button like in the Square type of website where it's just images. You can have that on there. You can have it in your pinned post. We talk about making a welcome mat post on your business page, having it up there first and foremost as well. And whenever anyone's messaging me, it is the first thing that I say, just to help them self-select. It's nothing mean, it's nothing rude. It's just letting them know this is what it's going to take to basically continue talking about this order, because we know how much time consulting can take. So an example, someone messages me, they say, hey, Melissa, are you available to make a cake for April 21st, which is my birthday? And I say, yes, I am. I accept custom order projects starting at $200. If that works for your budget, we can continue discussing your order. And if not, no worries. That's all I say. That's it. So they just know, hey, that works, or no, that's too much this time, or I'll get with you next time. Or once in a while, people will ghost me once in a while, which is kind of rude. Okay. I was born in the 80s, so I think ghosting is kind of rude, but in any effect, it helps them decide if they want to continue speaking with me or not. So if you'd like more assistance with nailing down your client communication, which can be a hassle and hard, I did an entire series inside the Elite program talking about how to help you with communication, specifically business related, and it raises your confidence like multiple levels because you start understanding how to communicate more effectively. Feels better for everyone involved. You're going to end up with more raving clients. You're going to have an easier time letting people down if you can't help them. It's just a really good training. If you want to gain more traction on your product development, maybe you do want to set an order minimum, but you don't feel like maybe your stuff is good enough, or you want to kind of fine tune. We have signature recipe training, which is super important inside the Elite program. We have a monthly thread where you can post your products. I'll take a look. We can talk about, Claire can help with photography. Autumn can talk about branding. If you want to show us the packaging, I can talk about product design and just help you essentially with product development, right there in the group with one-on-one with whatever you're sharing. If you want help creating offers that attract more buyers, which can be an issue, we talk about creating a value ladder, which can help you serve at different levels, which is kind of the purpose of what we're talking about today with order minimums. Or if you want some help setting up a menu that your clients love to look at and it's easy for them to understand and start ordering from you, and much more, we cover all of that in the Elite program, which you hear me talk about a lot. We assist bakers working from home or storefront, trucks or online, and everything in between. Lots of people doing lots of different stuff, but the concepts of baking business and becoming an entrepreneur and raising confidence and understanding how to set boundaries are all very similar, no matter how you want to share your baking skills. And what we do is we share expert knowledge from our 3-part coaching team made exclusively of military spouses. So we're fun, we're cool. They like to call us resilient, I guess. But we all have our expert backgrounds, and we love to hang out with y'all and make sure that you feel good and confident and ready to build your better bakery one step at a time. Okay. Kate says she's live but late. Watch the replay. Yep, the replay will be up in just a moment. Stacy's here. Okay, cool. Well, that's all for me today. Thanks for hanging out. I will be in the group. You can also send me a private message if you have some questions, you want to know about something, let me know. We have a couple of the silver tier Elite codes left. So if you want to join at a beta price, which is a little bit lower than what it's going to be in May, there's a couple available for April. So if you want to get in, you want to check out everything I talked about, we have this new introductory tier called Silver, which might be exactly what you're looking for. I can send you the information for that too. Okay, all righty. Bye, have a great Thursday, and I will see you later.